Amazon sellers said that they were kicked off the Amazon site after unknowingly hawking stolen goods. Were those goods stolen? No. Scout's honor. Ooh, what do we got going on? Are they lying? Or are they telling the truth? Let's get into it. Here we go. So remember last year, I think it was late last year, we had a piece of legislature in Congress that got kicked out. And so big resellers were supposed to check up on people. They're supposed to get, driver's license, tax ID number and stuff like that. For resellers, people online that have accounts, Amazon resellers being, one of them, Facebook Marketplace, anywhere you buy stolen goods, you're supposed to take people's information if you sold over $5,000 worth of goods and you had 200 transactions, some metric like that. Well, now we're getting to the point where some of this is happening, and I am reading this more and more. This is an article from July. But because we're in the midst of a massive organized retail theft, and it has to do with the folks that are addicted to fentanyl. They're typically the foot soldiers in the process. Organized retail theft literally organizes it. They sell online or they go to known in Oakland, and he chased it all the way via AirTags, Apple AirTags, to 300 Leavenworth Street in the Tenderloin. And, he's telling the police, here's where they're going. And the police are like, oh yeah, we know that's a known, basically theft ring reseller. We know that's okay. So then why aren't we closing it down? Well, legislation last year is impacting the online. So now you've got Amazon sellers. We were kicked off, but we didn't know. And what I often say is if it's too good to be true, then it probably is for a reason, right? So of the many acts that get an Amazon merchant kicked off the site, few are as devastating as selling stolen goods. Amazon calls the behavior illegal and strictly prohibited. And those accused of such activity can be permanently suspended. Dozens of small accounts have been booted from Amazon in recent months for reportedly hawking stolen goods from home appliance brands such as Breville, Keurig. Who doesn't want a good Keurig? Those are expensive. 𝗨𝗧𝗏, Shark Ninja. But suspended sellers who spent years building their businesses on Amazon told CNBC they had no idea they were selling stolen products. Here's a comment I would make there is Jonathan Cho. He covers South 12th Street and Jackson. That's in the International District in Seattle. And there is oftentimes just loaded up stolen goods. And you know who the buyers are? It's the Asian community. And oftentimes it's the elders in the Asian communities because they're out looking for a good deal. Who doesn't want a good deal? But if it's too good to be true, hey, this still has, product tags on it. If that's what you're getting, you probably know where it's from, right? I've had friends tell me, look at this great deal I got. And I'm like, that's probably stolen. Or I'll hit up my girlfriend. That could be stolen. That's too good of a deal. No, I'm just a really good online shopper. Okay. Amazon has provided limited evidence to back up its claims, Sellard said, leaving them scrambling to find the problematic merchandise. To try to get reinstated and save their $1 million business from potential collapse, they've taken it upon themselves to discover if they unsuspectingly bought stolen goods from one of many wholesalers, closeout businesses, and distributors that supply their Amazon inventory. For those of you who aren't aware, there is a massive industry out there of folks selling stuff on Amazon, and a percentage of it, and we're saying maybe up to 10% of the goods that are sold online are possibly stolen. That was in a Wall Street Journal article not that long ago. I don't think it's that high, But even if it's 5%, I mean, it's in the billions and approaches into the trillions, right? So it's a massive, massive deal. And to me, the reason that it's such a big deal is because it's so easy to do. Hey, throw up an online store. If you take some heat, take that bad boy down. Now they're supposed to collect your information. Well, what if you do, 150 transactions of small little stuff and, you got $4,500 in sales? It doesn't trigger that threshold. The thieves are always, the criminals are always going to figure out a way to get around this, right? And there's so many places you can hide now. I didn't know it was stolen. I got it from that guy. Check out that guy, right? Amazon's marketplace of independent sellers accounts for over 60% of goods sold on the platform. It's such a dominant force in e-commerce that it's often the primary or even sole source of revenue for third-party sellers. These third-party sellers, the legit ones, I mean, they work their asses off. They go through all this product review and placement and their channel being looked at and got to get good reviews and all. It's a serious business. I mean, it's the amount of work that goes into, if you got $1 million business selling, it's like any business. It's an incredible amount of work. And because you're online, you've got to have everything dialed in because it's pretty, okay, I'm going to buy stuff from you. You are, XYZ. And if you're legit, you got nothing to hide. But then what we're talking about today is, I didn't know. All right. I mean, we're reasonable. So let's keep reading. Over the past decade, the rapid growth of the marketplace has fueled a parallel boom in counterfeiters and spammers trying to game the system, pushing Amazon to ramp up enforcement. But you know what? It's such a big industry that you're only going to catch a small fraction of the folks that are committing the crime. Small fraction. So it's kind of like if you're in an area where you know that you're not going to get arrested, or if you do get arrested for shoplifting, you run the odds. You're like, okay, 9 out of 10 that I make it out of here. Those are the odds I'm going to take all day. I'm going to get released from jail, or I'm not even going to get arrested. I'm just going to run out the store. They got me on camera. Who cares? Cops don't have enough cops to send out. It's what we're doing. Retailers, lawmakers, and trade groups have repeatedly called attention to the growth of organized retail crime, saying that the online marketplaces have contributed to the problem. I'm sure they have. I mean, we know that they have. And that's why if you're buying something online and it literally seems too good to be true, think that through. I'm just a great shopper. I'm a really good shopper. It's like, really? Okay, you know what this cost new. And then how is this company making a go of it brand new with the tags on? You tell me here, right? I mean, you're an adult. You tell me how this is going. I'm just really good at finding the deal. Okay. Amazon's recent crackdown serves as acknowledgement by the company that criminals are attempting to use the site as an outlet for illicitly obtained products. We've known this for quite some time. The minute you give folks the ability to sell stuff online, they're going to sell illegal stuff online. I mean, these criminals, oftentimes I cover criminal activity that's just straight up knuckleheads, right? But in a way, I mean, if they can figure out a way to sell it, and this to me is one reason where organized retail theft has really found their niche. They've got this cornered. They know they can send a bunch of drug addicts out. All right, guys, here's the shopping list, guys and gals. Here's the shopping list. Go into Target. I need you to steal this, and this. Bring it back out. We'll give you XYZ dollars. You go get your fentanyl. You're fat and happy. And we'll take this stuff and we'll sell it online, or we'll sell it, down at the corner or wherever. But it's all organized. These aren't just, this is just happening, right? While sellers can get suspended for any number of behaviors, from promoting unsafe or expired goods to providing bad customer experience and using inaccurate product descriptions, you've got to have this stuff dialed in. It's got to be exactly what you are selling. No allegation is harder to overcome than being labeled a seller of stolen items. Those merchants say Amazon has little interest in offering them second chances or much of an opportunity to defend themselves. And that's because it's such a big market. If they're going to say to somebody, hey, this is stolen stuff, and they can prove it, boom, you're off, you're done. So, it's kind of one of those things where caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. So these sellers, although they are sellers, they bought it from somebody, right? You were a buyer, you're now reselling it. You're an Amazon reseller. So you need to know where your stuff is coming from. Everybody in the system has responsibility if at the end of the day, consumers buy stolen goods. And consumers, you kind of know as well. All right, I mean, it's a little shady, but they've got 2 reviews and both of them were 1 stars, but they're going to sell me this, North Face coat for a fraction of its original price. Maybe they're just looking at clearing out some product. I hear that all the time. You mean Lululemon is, and North Face and Nike are clearing out product because of brand new stuff that you can't find anywhere else? Does that make any sense to you? I don't know. I'm just, I got a really good deal. That's how people justify it. I got a sweet deal. I'm a bargain shopper. Yeah, but you bought some stolen stuff. Well, I didn't know. Right? CNBC spoke with 6 sellers who were recently suspended. Each provided us with the names of their suppliers. A review of their invoices, communications with suppliers, and other documentation revealed a convoluted web of wholesale and liquidation companies that frequently overlapped and advertised similar products, including espresso machines from Breville, Keurig coffee makers, 𝗨𝗡𝗖𝗘𝗡𝗦𝗢𝗡 humidifiers, LG computer monitors, Shark mops and vacuums, and Ninja appliances. All right, so you got a bunch of this stuff coming and going, and it's hard to make sense of it, right? In an email to CNBC, Amazon said it's working with authorities and doesn't comment on matters that are the subject of active law enforcement investigations. That's the go-to. If anything's sketchy at all and it's being investigated, I don't really know, but we're just going to say possible authorities investigating. That's the reason that we can't disclose any information. They don't want to disclose information because then they've got to disclose, we've got a bunch of sellers on here that are up to no good. We got shenanigans going on. We've got tomfoolery, and we know that it's happening because we know the amount of stuff being stolen. One of the things that I always think about is, okay, so companies have the ability to realize what their loss is because they know, all right, we bought this much inventory, we sold this much inventory, the rest walked out of our shop one way or the other, right? But I think what is happening is so many of those incidents are happening, somebody's stealing stuff, and it's no longer being reported to the police. Because in so many of these communities, this is just an ongoing daily thing where you get robbed multiple times a day and you just figure it's part of your loss. And you either figure out a way to make it go or you close down your shop. And that's what we are experiencing to the point in Chicago where they've closed down so many grocery stores because of theft, although they won't say it. They've closed down so many grocery stores that Mayor Let's Go Brandon Johnson is saying, we need to build our own grocery store. We need to have our own, what Tim Pool refers to as commie grocery store, because it's built by the community, for the people, right? For the people. And the problem there is the same exact things are going to happen. That store is going to be robbed blind. But because the citizens of said community are funding it through taxpayers' dollars, it's all good. It's all right. Go ahead and steal from your own grocery store. And when you have a city or a community-run grocery store, it's not for profit, is it? And that's where you run into the issue of, well, rob it blind because it's our money anyway, so let's steal from it. Doesn't matter. They have a massive loss. We're just going to fund it with taxpayers' dollars. So even more money gets dumped in the community to things that shouldn't be spent on. So Amazon does not allow independent sellers to list stolen goods in our store. And we work closely, this is the corporate talk, and we work closely with law enforcement, retailers, and brands to stop bad actors and hold them accountable, including withholding funds, terminating accounts, and making law enforcement referrals, the company said. So, Yes, but you're only going to stop a tiny little fraction. This isn't how you stop the organized retail theft. The way you stop the organized retail theft is that you arrest these folks and you prosecute them and you put them in jail. That is the only tool that you have that we are currently not using in so many of these communities where this is happening on an ongoing basis. Portland, Multnomah County being a prime example of that. I'm going to be doing some podcasts on that. And you've got the perfect circumstances there. You've got a district attorney that prosecutes less than half of the cases brought to him because, as a man in blue told me, he doesn't want to hit singles. He wants to hit a homer each case. So he's not going to take the stuff that he may not have a chance of winning. So then he's prosecuting, less than half of the cases. And the counties next to him on either side of him are prosecuting, 85, 90% of the cases brought to them. These are cases brought to the police. So you've got district attorneys that aren't, prosecuting. And so these thieves, they're like, hey, why wouldn't I do this? It makes absolute sense. 2 years ago, an Amazon seller, we'll call him Frank, shifted from selling home goods under his own brand to running a wholesale business. With so much competition in the marketplace, he viewed it as safer to sell products consumers know and trust rather than promoting an unfamiliar brand. On March 14th, his thriving 3-year-old Amazon business came to a screeching halt. That's not good. Frank, who asked that we not use his real name out of fear of retribution from Amazon and his suppliers, said that's the day Amazon told him his account had been suspended for selling stolen goods. Frank said Amazon didn't tell him which of his legions of products were allegedly stolen or offer any details that could help him track down the offenders. If he wanted any shot of appealing the suspension and saving his company, Frank would have to figure it all out himself. Now, there's got to be a better way than that. But again, this is Amazon, and they don't care. And they don't have the bandwidth, nor do they want to have the bandwidth to play internal police officer. So that's where some of this is like, okay, but you're supposed to be taking down information on these sellers who may be selling stolen goods. You're supposed to have their information. You see what a convoluted mess it is? It's like, but no, they're telling me my account shut down. They're saying that I bought goods from somebody that was stolen. Here's all their information. You go find. No, the seller has to figure it out, right? So if you want to be in that business, you better know your stuff, right? And you better be getting your stuff from a known and documented source. But like this article says, if you're doing big volume, you're getting a ton of stuff from this vendor, ton of stuff from this person, ton of stuff from this company, and you're just running it through, right? You're a marketplace. You're a clearinghouse. Get a few stolen goods in there? Oh, not good. That's what we're talking about. When Frank contacted Amazon about his suspension, an account health representative told him that KZ had been placed on an internal list of risky suppliers. Amazon declined to say if such a list exists. Don't know. Not really sure. I see nothing, right? I see nothing. Not really sure. In December, KZ's warehouse in Huntington Beach, California, was raided by the California Highway Patrol, which seized pallets of Dyson vacuums, TP-Link routers, Ninja blenders, and Breville espresso machines. A few weeks later, law enforcement carried out a similar raid at a warehouse of one of KZ's clients. KZ sued 2 of its suppliers in March, claiming they provided the business with stolen goods. It's not me. It's those guys. It's them. They did it. It might be true. It might be true. But that's the risk you take when you're dealing with, you don't really know where your goods are coming from, right? You're not doing that old school handshake. Hey, let me shake your hand. I want to see the whites of your eyes. Are you selling me stolen goods? And you get one of these looks. No, I would never do that to you. No. Right? So, he sued California Highway Patrol chips. Eric Estrada ultimately recovered nearly $4 million worth of goods that it determined was stolen cargo, according to KZ's complaint. Separately, Amazon said it shared information intelligence with California Highway Patrol in support of the investigation dubbed Operation Overloaded. That sounds exciting. Frank still isn't certain if his suspension was tied to products from KZ. His store has been offline for almost 4 months. 4 other merchants suffered a similar fate right around the same time, according to information provided to CNBC. They all said they'd never been notified of selling stolen goods in their years on Amazon and had no idea which of their products had been flagged or any of the suppliers who would be responsible. So this is just what's going on out there. And it's a totally, in my opinion, it's a he said, she said, and it's such a big industry that only a super small percentage of the sellers that are selling stolen goods are actually going to get caught. Because if you're savvy, you close down your shop, open up a new one, sell some legit stuff, sell some stolen stuff, whatever. You're going to figure out a way to probably get underneath that radar, right? But at the end of the day, what we need in order to stop, where does this stuff come from? Where is the supply coming from? Well, if it's stolen, it's being ripped off from somebody somewhere, right? Physically, that's where you have to stop the activity. Because if you don't have that supply of stolen goods to be sold online, that to me is that's the crux of the matter. But don't have enough cops in a lot of these jurisdictions. California, I mean, they're doing what they can, but stolen goods, let's be honest. When you've got people that their lives are being threatened, something is physically happening to them. Doing a story on a stove, a guy that sells vintage stoves in Portland. The police said, and I have heard this so many times from police, hey, we were down 6, 7 officers that day. We were down a third of our police force that day. And so what happened is this guy selling stoves in Portland that's been known for years and years and years. I think he's in his 70s. He's got this incident where somebody comes to steal scrap metal from his yard and he calls the cops. They don't come. They come the next day. And basically they're saying, hey, we were down 6 cops out of 16. And because nobody's life was, threatened at that time, we didn't come out. We had other calls where we had to go, where people's, safety was on the line at that moment. Stolen scrap metal, not going to happen. So that's why so much of this stuff, I think, goes under the radar. And on a very small scale, in this stolen goods being stolen from individual stores, it's flying under the radar even further because you don't have the ability to, number one, arrest these folks, follow up, even if you do have information on, what's going on, even if you have video information, because oftentimes they're not going to be prosecuted and they know it. There's video footage out there where people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not in Multnomah County where Portland is. I'm not in Multnomah County. I'm in Washington County. Oh man, I am so effed, because they know that if in their Multnomah County where Portland is, they're going to get away with it. They're just going to be released. Hey, released on your own personal recognizance. Here's your court date. Please come back. That's what's going to happen. If that at all, because there's a high probability they'll just be released and there's going to be no case. There's just nothing. We don't figure it's a good case to be taken on. So therefore, go out into the wild and keep doing your thing. But for these Amazon sellers, they're in a world of hurt because they've got so much built up business-wise. And they're saying, hey, we're kicked off. But with the recent legislation, this is part of a crackdown. These guys are, maybe they knew they were selling, maybe they didn't, who knows? But you're going to have innocent parties get caught in this. And if they were selling stolen goods, then they're guilty of selling stolen goods and their account should be sold, shut down. Doesn't matter where you get it from. Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, right? So there you go. So whether it's unknowingly or knowingly, that's one issue. But at the end of the day, for so many of the stores out there, so many of the restaurants out there, so many of the businesses in general that are being robbed from, that's where we've got to stop this stuff. And we don't have boots on the ground to make that happen right now. And in a lot of these communities, we don't have the legal system working in these businesses' favor. So I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I mean, there's no big, due date coming up that, this is going to change everything. So this is unfortunately kind of what we're working with. So, yep. That's all I got for you on this one. I'm going to be doing a bunch of shoplifting because shoplifting is the main thing that is funding so much of the fentanyl and drugs that are out there right now. All right. Thanks for sticking with me to this point in the podcast. I will catch up with you in the next one. All right. Bye for now.